In yet another controversial move, I beg your pardon, Pakistan now has its second ever Field Marshal. That's General Asim Munir. He's the country's current army chief. He's now been promoted following the jaw-breaking 4-day conflict with India, where Pakistani air bases were demolished by India. It's a title that's not been awarded since 1959, but the last man to wear that rank, that is Field Marshal, Ayub Khan, used it to become a dictator. Ayub Khan's legacy casts a long shadow back in 1958. In fact, is when, amidst a huge political chaos, Ayub Khan turned on his own president after sharing tea and jokes for the cameras. That night, he staged a silent coup, and by morning, in fact, the then President Iskandar Mirza was exiled. Now, after 6 decades, the rank returns, but under completely different circumstances. The geopolitical tailwinds, of course, are important to note. For as many in Pakistan, the title Field Marshal carries more than just military weight. It carries history and also a warning. Meanwhile, India has taken its fight against terror, global. In fact, after Operation Sindoor, the diplomatic offensive continues. Our MPs across party lines are now set to go, in fact, are in the process of being dispatched to 33 countries to continue to expose Pakistan's terror playbook, led by MPs like Aparajita Sarangi and several others. So 2 things are happening. Pakistan, which is the fountainhead of terrorism, what is it doing? It is actually crowning its army chief with a decorated designation, one that hasn't happened, a title that hasn't happened for 6 decades. What is India doing? It says Operation Sindoor continues. Right now, our focus is on completely isolating Pakistan diplomatically. And that's exactly the first story that we are debating on India Global today. I'm going to put out the big questions, and I'm going to then ask what really are the next steps in terms of India's diplomatic operations, and more importantly, how should we view what's happening in Pakistan? The first questions that are coming in: why is Pakistan rewarding a general who actually lost a war? Is it part of a Sharif army deal to block Imran Khan? Well, remember, Imran Khan and Asim Munir have history, and that history is Imran Khan sacking Asim Munir, with a lot of conversation and chatter around the possibility of Imran Khan's return. Is this a deal that will ensure that both of them continue to stay forever maybe, when it comes to Asim Munir? Next, will it shield Asim Munir from any possible court-martial that may take place later over war failure? As I said, 9 Pakistani air bases demolished. The DGMO of Pakistan asking for a ceasefire because they just could not ensure that their country would be safe anymore because of how India pounded their air bases. Is this a method? Which is why we're asking the question that is this Teflon coating of Asim Munir? And the last question: is he going to be the next dictator after Ayub Khan? Well, who knows? Pakistan has a long history of having very truncated, checkered democratic framework, and this could be Asim Munir's plans to ensure that he becomes a more permanent fixture in Pakistan. And to talk more on that, joining me on the show is General Anil Kumar Bhatt, who's a defense expert, and Mahesh Sachdev, who's a former ambassador. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for speaking to me. The questions are, in fact, essentially on what I just spoke. The latest developments unfolding in Pakistan, even as India is very focused on isolating Pakistan with its diplomatic outreach. And to that effect, let me first start with General Anil on this. How do you read the developments that have unfolded in Pakistan? I'm saying it's Teflon coating of Asim Munir. Do you agree with that?
Oh, definitely. You know, world over and anywhere in a democracy, armies are awarded for successful battles or operations. But we have our Western neighbor where a country has given an award or a self-award has been given for losing in a conflagration which took place. By all standards, the Indian armed forces have emphatically punished the terrorists in Pakistan and also targeted all the airfields. And thereafter, if the chief of Pakistan is being awarded for being maybe beaten, it's nothing but a joke.
Indeed, it is nothing but a joke, except that this has serious implications. Ambassador Sachdev, let me ask you, as I said, there are two developments are happening parallelly. One on end, what Pakistan is doing, and on the other end, what India is doing, focused on ensuring that diplomatically it pushes the pedal on isolating Pakistan. The first set of MP delegations have already gone. And over the course of the next 2 weeks, we will see the outcomes of that in terms of how India communicates its message to every single country that matters. How do you read India's continued position as far as isolating Pakistan diplomatically?
I think it's an exercise in soft power.
Yes.
And India would like to be understood better, particularly in 11 OIC member countries, where Pakistan tries to play a psychological edge of being co-religionist and member of the OIC. I would also like to add here that Indian delegations would have a task not only to convey, but also to get the feedback and to then nuance our further evolution of the soft power accordingly. So if in some places Islamic angle has to be played, this be it. In some other places, humanitarian stuff has to be pushed forth. That would be another one. In other places, terrorism would be the big no. And there it'll be, we will need to sort of augment our arguments accordingly. So all that is a very dynamic two-way exercise. And here I would also like to add that government to government, messages have always been conveyed at the Prime Minister's level, at the External Affairs Minister level, and at the diplomatic level.
Okay.
Now, very often those messages are received well with politeness, but then the people come around and say, look, our parliament is independent, our media is independent.
Of course.
We cannot run them over with your arguments. You have to do it yourself.
Okay.
And this way, we supplement the government-to-government interactions with an extra edge.
Yes. Okay. So two things. As I said, India is very clear. It wants to reach out to the existing non-permanent members of the UNSC and also the ones who will come in next year when the membership changes, excluding, of course, Pakistan and China. All delegations are going to all of those countries and in addition to OIC. But I want to come back and reflect the other development, which is the Pakistan aspect. And let's keep reflecting that on our screens as well. General Bhatt, as far as Asim Munir is concerned, the reason why, or as far as the Asim Munir Shehbaz Sharif combo is concerned, they would want to also do this to ensure that they keep Imran Khan out permanently. So it addresses their interests politically. It also, of course, secures their future. And how should we be reading, how should India be reading the Shehbaz Sharif Asim Munir combo here?
So, in the combo, it is not a combo. It's only one man. And that is...
No, it's an alignment of interest because of convenience.
Oh, yes. But the man who calls the shot is the Field Marshal. Now, that is General Asim Munir, and he will continue to call the shots. The other person is just along with him, and by matter of convenience, it happens to be that party at the moment. But definitely, as you say, coming back of Imran Khan becomes much more unlikely with the consolidation of power within the army by the chief by becoming a Field Marshal.
And lastly,
now,
I want to ask you...
Is it a way ahead to even become the president? One does not know. But even if he continues to be the army chief.
Yes.
He calls the shots because in Pakistan, the lone power center is the Pakistan
Absolutely.
army.
I want to ask you this before I get in Mahesh Sachdev, which is that as he becomes Field Marshal, something that hasn't happened in 60 years, power dynamics will shift even more. He will ensure that there are no inquiries whatsoever against him now or in the future. But does that also mean a longer tenure? Because as I said, something that hasn't happened in 60 years, only second time in the country's history, you can't go back so many years in time. Explain to us the impact of him becoming Field Marshal in terms of the longevity of his tenure as the army chief.
So, firstly, if you see by trends and which were there always, many of the army chiefs have even continued longer as chiefs, or they've called themselves the executive chief, or they have later become presidents of Pakistan. So the bottom line is army being in power and the chief of the army being in power in some form or the other. Presently, what it indicates is that he, as the chief of the Pakistan army and as now an upgraded field marshal, will continue to hold power in Pakistan, and that is the person we have to deal with.
Indeed. Let's leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on a story that has many threads. And in fact, viewers, bottom line, as far as this issue is concerned, is just very simple here. What Asim Munir is trying to do is protect himself. Teflon coating is what he's trying to do for himself now and for future. He's also completely and permanently changed the power dynamics in Pakistan. The army has always called the shots, but by becoming the Field Marshal, he has just cemented that even more. Does that make Shehbaz Sharif's government an even bigger puppet regime? Of course it does. The two of them are aligning to keep Imran Khan out, but it also means that any facade whatsoever that existed of a civilian government has pretty much come to an end. Asim Munir is the only power center in Pakistan. He's ensured that with his elevation as the Field Marshal. The only thing that now needs to be seen is whether he's also going to go on to become the dictator like Ayub Khan did after he became the Field Marshal. Well, in Pakistan, anything can happen because the one thing that's most checkered is their democracy and democratic traditions.